the culture that my school football coach created was actually life-changing. He made our school so into football that we actually didn't have a cricket team for the longest time. Holy shit, you're gonna make me cry. This team is so good. I would give anything to play with this team in that vibe again. I think this team was basically even assembled from a bunch of athletes who sir said, oh, you can run, I'll teach you how to play football, that's it.
How was it at home when you told them that you really want to pursue this professionally?
Instant no, and also an instant sense of fear that like we don't know anything about the sport, we don't know anything about the ecosystem. So how will you earn your bread? How will you live? You can't just keep playing.
How was it like winning the silver at that?
It was beautiful. It felt like every single moment of the last 13 years led up to this. It's like I'm a living embodiment of what I thought I would be as a 15-year-old, and honestly that's the most validating thing that I could have done for myself. So in our school ground, right, girls didn't really play football. So there was a coach who would come in,
Okay.
and he said, okay, like, why don't you guys try as well? So we just started kicking the ball around. Obviously, we didn't know how to do it. We were toe poking all over the place. And then he said, okay, I'm going to line the balls up. We'll see who can kick it the longest. We didn't know how to shoot the ball, nothing.
So you're towing the ball.
We went and wildly toe poked the ball. Mine flew. I didn't even expect it to go. And it did. And he was like, okay, see, that's it. That's football. You just need to learn how to kick the ball. And yeah, that's actually my earliest memory.
And what was it like growing up? You grew up in Chennai, right?
Yes, yes.
How was like just the neighborhood, the culture?
So I think, Chennai is home. I've lived there all my life, just before I moved to Bangalore. Chennai is beautiful. I think the beach makes it so much better. I played football on the beach a lot as well. But more than anything, I think the culture that my school football coach created was actually life-changing for me, because Chennai, the most popular sport is cricket. Everybody plays cricket. My school, I would say sporting culture itself changed with just my school football coach. He made our school so into football that we actually didn't have a cricket team for the longest time.
That's a big thing. Like what?
Yeah.
This was 10 years? 15
This was
years
like,
back?
15 years ago, almost.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's big to think
Yeah.
that someone would abandon cricket for football back then.
Exactly. It was only much later, after I graduated from school, that I found out that now they're starting to build a cricket court and things like that. But before that, they were just cricket nets. And we had a football court, but it was mud. It was like proper mud, but it was maintained well. And that was, I think, the biggest change in cultural shift I saw for sport, because then all of our conversations were around football. Like all the boys, girls, everybody, when the girls team also started, right? We started talking about Premier League and matches that we could watch on TV. And do you remember Neo Sports?
Yeah.
The channel?
Yeah.
I started watching football there first, because only that was on air in the mornings when I would get some TV time allowed from my parents. And Bundesliga was on a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I very quickly became an FC Bayern fan. Yeah,
And
that's how.
You still follow FC Bayern?
Yes, I do.
Once you start liking a club, there's no
going back. Yeah.
There was Neo Sports, but there was also Doordarshan.
Yeah, Doordarshan was always there. I actually think I saw my first women's football in Doordarshan. Yeah, there was senior nationals aired at one point.
India
In
Senior
Doordarshan,
Nationals.
yeah.
Oh.
Indian women's senior nationals was on Doordarshan.
Wow.
I don't know if it was senior nationals or national games, but either one of it, I saw girls playing for the first time in Doordarshan.
What does this
Oh my
make
God.
you think of?
What? I can't believe you guys printed this out. This was the first team that I went to the CBSE Nationals with, and holy shit, you're gonna make me cry. This team is so good. Like, I would give anything to play with this team in that vibe again. Oh my God. So this was actually in Noida during our first CBSE Nationals, and I was in 10th grade at that time, yeah. And this was actually one of the first times where I also saw other players of my age who played for the national team, under 16 and things like that.
Okay.
I saw them playing and we were very competitive and we did pretty well. So I saw them, I was like, oh my god, this is reachable. Like I can totally do this. And there were about 3, 4 of us in our team who were pretty good, who were interested in carrying forward with the game. So we actually got our first Chennai district junior nationals call up right after this.
This was when you were in school, what, 7th,
Yeah.
8th grade?
No, I was in 10th grade at this.
10th grade.
Yeah.
And then how did that journey sort of follow? Like, how did you think of going pro with football?
Yeah, so I think this nationals was my first euphoric moment in football when I thought that this sport is incredible and I will do anything to keep staying in this. Because this was in 10th, 11th and 12th were the best years of my life in terms of the sport because I was playing so much. I was barely in class. Like I played Chennai district regularly after that. I played in like the junior circuit in Tamil Nadu a lot. This was also peaking was the time when academics are
Yeah.
start to become
giving
such a big
awards
part
and
of your
stuff.
life, right? Yeah, and around the end of school was when one of the coaches for the Tamil Nadu team contacted me and said that, there is a possibility for you to continue playing with a seat at a commerce college, and we'd be able to help you out. You'll play university with us, etc. But my family was not very convinced with that because they wanted me to go into a little bit more of an academic route. Both my parents are engineers, so my natural
That's a lot
next
of
step
pressure.
was to take up engineering.
How was it at home when you told them that you really want to pursue this professionally?
I mean, instant no, and also an instant sense of fear that like we don't know anything about the sport, we don't know anything about the, ecosystem. It doesn't look predictable. It doesn't look like there's any structure. So how will you earn your bread? How will you live? You can't just keep playing, so valid concerns now that I think about it.
fair enough.
But yeah, I just wish at that point it was a little bit easier for like 15-year-old me to navigate this space.
Do you think that has sort of changed? Like the culture and the sport has grown a little so that
100%.
a 5-year-old kid now does not have to convince his or her parents to a point that there's no future?
I think convincing is still there,
Okay.
but the pathway is also there now. Like, for example, I play and I work at Kemp FC, right? And the ecosystem that they've built is incredible. I wish I was a young kid who was able to play in this ecosystem because we have girls as young as 3, 4 now starting to play football. And there are leagues happening for them. There's baby leagues, there's KSFA youth leagues. There's so many outlets, But also, what I'm noticing is Bangalore is like that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily everywhere else. Like in Chennai, also, I do see girls who are younger take it up. But it's not as consistent, and I don't think there are regular leagues where they can keep playing year round. So in Bangalore, also there aren't regular leagues, but at least there are regular tournaments. So there's your B division, there's A division, there's Super division. If not, there are youth tournaments with the boys where the girls can mix up and play. There are also a lot of tournaments that are including girls teams, even in boys tournaments.
This is the case right now where girls are playing with boys, men are playing together.
Yeah.
But for you, growing up, were there like any obstacles, just like purely from that perspective, कि ये तो लड़की है?
Yeah. No, for sure. I think, like I said, the first person to break that mindset in all of us was our school coach.
Yeah.
He was the one who he basically said you have 2 feet, they have 2 feet, you have 2 hands, they have 2 hands, you can run, they can run, why can't you play with them? And I think it's very random people that create such a huge butterfly effect that it changes everything about how you think after that, right? And it may not seem as significant. He's just telling you that you can play with boys. What's the big deal? No, but he basically broke a societal norm just by saying that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my whole family, everybody was opposed to it because first thing is in football you'll get hurt. It's a contact sport. What if you break your arms and legs? What if you get tan? What if you become burnt? Same stuff. So, and also given that I come from a highly academically oriented family, highly conservative family, it was it was difficult for them to understand that sport can be integrated as a part. They always assumed I'd end up taking up, even if I do end up in sport, I'd take up like maybe badminton or worst case basketball, but still indoor.
How was that? When did that support start coming in from your family for football?
So they were okay with me playing the school tournaments because again, I convinced them it was for college applications and then it looked great. It looked super nice that I'm playing sport and I could get a sports scholarship, who knows. So they were never like, you need to stop playing and stay at home. It was never like that because for them, staying active, staying healthy, all that still matters, but not professionally. The change in mindset actually came very recently, I would say. Like I fully rebelled and when I was done with college, I basically told them that chemical engineering is just not doing it for me. I don't think I can build a career in it.
This was after you got your degree or during?
After.
Okay.
Like during I tried, I was so close to dropping out by the time I was in second year. But I continued and I graduated. But just around the time when I graduated, I told them that, it's not, this is just not it. And that was a tough conversation because I decided that, okay, whether I get to play professional football or not, because I still wasn't sure. IWL at that point was still a 1 month tournament, maybe 1.5, right? And you have a camp for about 1 month. So in 12 months, you're playing for 2.5 months. That's not convincing enough.
Yeah.
And maybe you get another 1 month for senior nationals. So it's still not convincing enough, right? So I had to get a job. I thought, okay, if I'm still going to get a job, I might as well do it in something I really like. So I enjoyed the off-field stuff about sport also. Like I was sports captain through school, college, and that bit was a little bit more convincing for them that I'm not just going to be playing, I will work. But all that I told my parents were, wait, just give me 6 months. Till December, if I'm not able to figure it out, I'll come back. And that's what they did. They're like, okay, that's it. Treat this as an internship. That's what I was told. The fact that we're here is crazy because I actually I hosted one of my first tournaments here when nothing was built. It was just the turf. So my first project when I came back, I got an internship at Sisters in Sweat. And I was one of the first people to start working with them. I was one of the first founding employees. And it wasn't enough. So I also got an internship at Decathlon. So I was doing two things. I found a club to play in. Parikrama was my first club. I was like, I got to maximize the 6 months out of this. I can't do less. So with Sisters in Sweat, Adidas Creators League hosted the first ever women's community tournament. And that happened in this ground. Yeah.
How did it feel when you wore the crest for the first time?
I don't know, surreal. Surreal, insane. It felt like every single moment of the last 13 years led up to this. I had actually resorted to the fact that, okay, India was a little too far ahead for me because, in football, you need to be of a certain level, certain fitness, certain tactical, technical player, which I thought I wasn't there. So a large part of me was almost resorted to the fact that, okay, like, because I was always into coaching, I thought, okay, eventually let me try something in coaching at some point, right? But never thought I'd play for the country. And just out of the blue, futsal came along and changed everything about what I believed in. I thought, I read something recently about the fact that you usually have like these butterfly effect moments every 10 years in your life. Some I don't know how true it is, but I think the first one I had was when I was 15, when I thought I'd, play football for as long as I could. And the next one happened last year when in November, not even when I actually wore this jersey. It happened when I got selected to continue camp in the top 25. And it got reaffirmed when I got top 14 and I got selected and I wore the jersey. I think that was the next big shift in my own mentality that, maybe I should stop playing and maybe I should switch, because everything about this told me that, are you insane? Never stop. Like, why are you thinking that way? And it's like the whole universe was trying to tell me that just keep at it, dude. You're gonna keep going. So,
How did it happen? Like,
uh,
how did you even think of playing futsal?
so what actually happened in futsal was it was an open trial.
Okay.
It was an open selection
How did
trial
you find
that
out?
they put it up on social
Oh,
media.
okay,
Like
okay, okay.
the AIFF had actually, I think, given out a call to all the state affairs, and KSFA put it up on social media, which was an open trial. So I said, open trial, what's the worst that could happen? I'll just go play for fun. I played, and then I
What's
kept
the
getting
worst
better.
what's the worst that
I
could
mean,
happen?
nothing like
I might go on to play for India.
I genuinely did not think that. I just thought, okay, it's a because I play a lot of five-a-side here, five-a-side, seven-a-side. I just thought, okay, it's just the ground shift. The rules might be the same. I was wrong about the rules also. I didn't even know the
You didn't
rules
know.
of futsal. Yeah, and then I had to Google it through selection trials so that I like don't get selected or like what if I miss out on selection because I'm wrong on the rules. No, but the selectors, the coach, they were really nice about actually getting the girls into the game. So they really explained the rules to us. They stopped us. They told us that no, this is not allowed. Like back pass, there are certain rules in back pass, especially for the goalkeepers. And power play was an insane rule to learn for me. But I
Power
think,
play is when there's a substitution mid
yeah,
move.
yeah.
I was watching one of your games and I was like, huh? Keeper chala gaya?
Yeah, the keeper gets substituted with the power play player
Yeah, it
who
was
wears a
new,
keeper
very new for
jersey.
me
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
But sorry to interrupt, continue.
Yeah, I know. But I learned the rules as I went, and what I realized was when that muscle memory clicked in, and when I was able to adapt to the hard surface quickly, that's when I told myself that okay, this is your shot. Just learning stuff about futsal. I loved it, like because I think the pace of the game is really exciting, but also the fact that you need higher ball control than most players who can survive in a just a football pitch.
100%.
I think for me, just building a relationship with the ball, just spending hours either in the terrace or in wherever I could get just a wall and a ball. It didn't matter the surface. So that really, really helped me. The other one is of me celebrating. So
That's your first goal.
it was also the first goal of the tournament. So
Oh,
because we were playing the first match against Maldives, it was the tournament opener, and
damn.
I actually thought to myself that sometime before we even stepped onto the court to warm up, okay, it'd be awesome to score the first goal. And that's it. It was just a fleeting thought, and I just went ahead, started warming up, did everything as a normal player would do, completed everything, went back. I was in the second set for that match's rotation. But I kept thinking, that like we need to score early on, and it was the first match of the first ever SAF tournament. The start was great. We got in some good touches, and then in futsal, the best part is that rolling substitutions. You get to keep playing. You get to like. There's no like one and done, right? So I love that bit about futsal. I think it also brings out the best in some players who may not be able to give their best without a little bit of a break. Yeah, he put us on. I was like, oh my god, I'm actually playing. Can't believe this. And I get in. We have a couple of good touches, good moves. There was one move where we were maintaining shape, and one of the Maldives players were trying to drive in. At that point, my teammate Arya, she was also my roommate that whole tournament. So it was crazy that because everybody was like, guys, you guys are roomies. That's why y'all scored because she assisted that ball, right? So she won the ball. I genuinely didn't think this much. I just make a run for the second post because that was one of the moves that we practice. It's like just make a run for it. If you get the ball, tap it in. That's it. And that's exactly what happened. And it was like you think of something, you dream of something, and then when it happens, you're like, did that really just happen? And yeah, it was just me going nuts. I guess.
As you should. You just scored your first goal for India, dude. Big, big achievement for anyone scoring their first goal for the. I mean, did you even dream of? There's no pathway, right? You can't think that these
Yeah.
things would ever happen.
Yeah.
What does football or now futsal mean to you off the pitch?
Off the pitch, it's honestly, it's still life. It's still what day to day means to me. Like, it's still my first love, my daily routine. Pretty much, yeah, like I said, life.
how has football sort of shaped you as a person?
I think everything. I keep telling, whether it's my juniors or even if it's my parents or anyone, I tell them that, especially my parents, I tell them that, yeah, you guys did try to teach us stuff, but honestly, what I learned in football is unmatched. I think it made me who I am today. May seem small, but picking your teammate up when they're down, working together with a common, with a group of people to achieve something together, uh, that sense of belonging, that sense of community, uh, taught me what it means to fight for someone else. It taught me, honestly, it was my first feeling of love in its purest sense. I think I'm still fit and still able to play purely because of the discipline it teaches you. In futsal and football, it's the kind of sport where no one person's gonna ever win you games, right? It's the team. Because I'm a strong believer that players are not bigger than the team or the club, wherever it is that they're playing. So just that feeling that you're a part of something much bigger than yourself. It's a very humbling thing to have, but it also teaches you that you still do have a role to play in it.
That was heavy. What was it like when you first signed your professional contract with a club, and then how did you move from one to another to another? What was it like, and how is it now also for you?
Tanvi was actually the one who introduced me to Parikrama at the time. So I tried out for the club, and yeah, this was one of the first tournaments that I played when I came to Bangalore. This was literally the first group of people who I played anything with in Bangalore, and they all played for Parikrama. So they said, you should definitely come and try for the club. And our first coach was Ravi sir, and he was great as well. I think Parikrama actually broke the ice for me in terms of being a part of a team, being a part of regular training sessions. We used to start training quite a bit before the league started because he was a believer that the team should gel together and they should all learn how to play together. For me, the best team that I could have broken into the system with, because they're so inclusive, so welcoming and nice as a team. Of course, there were ups and downs as a team. I stayed there for the first 3 years of
Oh
me
wow!
playing in Bangalore, yeah. And I think it was a very supportive environment. It was only after the third year when I thought that I could use a change because I wanted to, one, play in a space that was more competitive to push myself as an athlete, and also to play with a different set of players to just challenge myself. And that's when Misaka came along. Misaka was also one of those. I think pickup games have just defined how my club career goes, because through these pickup games we played a tournament, and then Tanvi and all of these guys, they called me to Parikrama.
Parikrama.
Sisters in Sweat I was working full time at Sisters in Sweat by that point, so we used to have these pickup games on Tuesdays, and I met Tarini over there. She used to work in finance at that point. She was an investment banker and all that. But the fact that she was continuing to work and play inspired me to, consider Misaka and
Yeah.
see if that could be the next option. And yeah, I took the leap and I went to Misaka. Played in Misaka for 2 years again. Only after that did I this was awesome, man. Nisi, so that girl, she's Nisilia from Meghalaya, and she had a magical left foot. That was after a genuinely magical goal that she scored, banger with her left foot. I was vice captain in Misaka for uh, the 2 years I was there, and I think with them the second year qualifying to IWL was the best achievement for me playing in the league so far. They took me to the national stage. I'll always be grateful to them for that. So yeah, I got to play against players like Sabitra, Bandari. We held Gokulam on a 0-0 draw. We broke their
Massive,
23
no?
game winning streak.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was Misaka in the IWL. So that was fantastic. After Misaka was actually the year that I took a break.
Okay.
I took a break to study sports management because by then it was me 5 years into Bangalore and I'd explored the sport industry fairly well. So I thought maybe I'll need to take a break to, one, also just take a break from working in general to explore if I can play football a little bit longer. But also, I'm the kind of person who can't just sit idle, and because when you're a professional footballer, you have a lot of free time. You have a lot of time to take care of yourself, but you do have a lot of free time to upskill, to learn something. And that's when I thought, why not do study something? That's when I came across AISTS, and they offered a hybrid program where I could study, play, and do it remote. They wanted to encourage more athletes to take it up. So
Right.
that was a blessing in disguise, because the fact that I could still play and continue to learn something. So I took a break from working for that year. They took us on a exposure trip to Switzerland. So yeah. And you guys have like really mapped this out with the photos. I love it. It's awesome. Yeah, this was, I think,
Yeah, this
while
one too.
while the athlete in me was, getting all the dreams fulfilled at that point, what I thought of that, should continue playing football, should continue being a part of a club, etc. The sports management geek in me was, oh my god, I nerded it out so hard here. I went to the Olympic Museum, I went to the FIFA Museum, and oh my god, like such a huge part of why I was also enjoying the off-field stuff was really validated going to places like these, because it was super inspiring to see how these events are being hosted, and learning the back end of sport management, and also understanding that honestly, like when I was 15, I mapped out my career pretty well. It was all like life came in the way. But right now, if I could go back and tell that girl that you were really, really smart, because by then I thought, okay, like I'll play football for some time and after that I'll work in sport. And then it was completely shut down by society. But the fact that it's now happening, materializing through everything that I do, I wake up, I think about sport, I think about football, I read articles in sport, it's like I'm a living embodiment of what I thought I would be as a 15-year-old. And honestly, that's the most validating thing that I could have done for myself. By that time, my parents had really come into the fact that, okay, like our daughter is a sports manager, she's a footballer.
They've accepted
yeah,
it
they've
now.
fully accepted it, they're fully supportive. I'm sure it would have been tough for them also, because uh, society was hard on them. The fact that, a certain thing was expected of them, a certain thing was expected of people. And
What?
this whole log kya kahenge thing it weighs down on our parents also. And I think most of us actually don't realize that. But
Was it like relatives,
yeah,
neighbors,
yeah,
or
100%. Like relatives, all of it, relatives, neighbors, their colleagues, and the fact that all of their kids were doing something traditional, and for them to actually break away and say that no, like we're going to get comfortable with the fact that our daughter is going to do something different and she's going to be good at it is, yeah, honestly grateful for that fact that they grew as well.
I think, yeah, we're all grateful because India wouldn't
Yeah.
have scored the first goal at the SAF Championship.
But yeah, so massive learning experience for this. I also made sure I went to women's football games, because I'd started following WSL and some of the European leagues by then. So because I was in Switzerland, I actually went to watch FC Young Boys women play
Okay.
in Bern.
Oh,
So that was a good game to watch. I got the full match day experience, like the merchandise stalls, the vending machines, the everything that you only read about. I got to experience,
yeah.
but that wasn't even the best bit. I went for an FC Bayern match, and I got a picture with Magda and Pernil,
Oh.
and so got a ticket to Munich. Went there by train. Went to see the game, and yeah, I went to see it. That was my first FC Bayern game live, and I'm so glad it was a women's. Even though I started following it from the men's side. I did a whole Allianz Arena stadium tour. Oh my god! It's crazy. My coffee mug today is still my FC Bayern mug that I
Oh,
got over there. Yeah.
wow. When you were a kid.
No, no, no. The one I picked
The
it
one
up.
that you-
Yeah, I
oh,
picked it up in the Allianz Arena
sweet.
tour, and yeah, so
But
that was
must have been crazy, dude.
Incredible,
Watching FC Bayern
Yeah.
on Neo Sports.
yeah,
and then
exactly.
Going to the stadium,
Yeah.
witnessing a live match, clicking
That was
pictures.
incredible. I think it's like everything after 2023 was just until now, and hopefully continues as well, is just a massive affirmation to all of the years of dreaming and trying to build something
Also
along these lines.
uncertainty.
Yeah.
Full props to
Yeah.
you, like for sticking with yourself and what you want to do, or what you don't know you want to do. Continuing
Yeah.
with your club journey now.
Yeah.
So after 2 years at Misaka,
Yeah.
what was next for you?
I played for Sports Odisha in the IWL.
Okay.
So once that was the first home away league. I think they started IWL as a home away leg. Before now they've gone back to the one venue format.
Let's not talk about
that.
It's a shame, no? Like, how do you?
But also the I think there are a lot more things to fix in the commercial front before IWL becomes a home away, because I think clubs were bleeding money. There was no solutioning on merchandising, ticketing, stuff that now ISL teams do have an outlet for. IWL teams were just not there yet. So I think maybe the solution wasn't to go back to a one leg. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but yeah, I think now we're in that scaled down situation. It's a shame, but
There has to be some sort of a smart solution, and even
balance
ISL
both.
teams aren't doing great.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
they're making money or they're doing like flourishing. So it's something to learn for
Yeah.
like Indian football in general.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those phases where you learn and understand the women's football industry a little bit better, because I think it requires an arm of its own to, and not just a general competitions arm that runs everything, but just to have like how WSL is now an independent entity run separate from the EPL. IWL needs to have that, because you need to, because that's how big it is, and that's how big it can be, right? That's how many girls you're looking to engage with and things like that. But yeah, so right after Sports Odisha is when I got in touch with the founders of Kemp FC, because they were also looking to expand. They were looking to, make the club bigger, make it an IWL club, grow the pathway. And what I really, really liked about their vision is they weren't just looking at the top. They were building bottom up, and they had already one of the strongest grassroots bases for youth girls football in Karnataka. My role in the club is, of course, I play for them. I have a professional contract, but I work in the founder's office.
Oh, okay.
So I work because I wanted to have a role that one had some good amount of decision making power, to be able to influence the women's football industry positively. And one of the first things that they told me was, we want more girls to think the way that you do, that they don't need to sacrifice on either academics or this. They can have both, and that's the caliber of people that we want to build. Whether they go on to become professionals or not, that's something that they need to decide. But we want them to become forward-thinking individuals like this. So Kemp was actually started by a group of 6 parents who just decided that they're all girl dads and girl moms, soccer dads, who used to drop their daughters to work every day, to games every day, and then go to work or pick them up after in evening practice. And they saw that they weren't having enough of an outlet to play the leagues. They could provide them a better club, better structure, better facility. And yeah, it's their project. It's how they started to make a difference in women's football. The first league, that first year that I played with them, we had a fantastic outing. I think I found, after all of those years of playing, I think with Kemp, what I loved was how good everyone was to each other, how supportive everyone was to each other. Like that first year really made me feel like this team is my home, and this team is what I'm going to fight for the next few years. And yeah,
You've recently done something that's significant, I think, even for your career, even for India. How was it like winning the silver at SAF?
I think it was beautiful. It was a fantastic moment for us to win the silver, because I think it was also a culmination of the last 2 months where the team that we played in was also fantastic, and we also bonded very quickly. And I think I've noticed that wherever off-field relationships are good, then the team really does end up performing well. So then to win silver with this team was special. It was also, it was beautiful that it happened in the first ever SAF tournament. We would have I mean, we went in for gold, but we missed that against our performance with Bangladesh. But next time, obviously, we're coming back for the gold. But it felt beautiful. I think it was one of those moments where I thought, okay, I played for the country. Scored a goal, but this is something I didn't really have in mind as any kind of a goal. It happened and it felt validating. It felt like we deserve this. We did well, and the spaces that we didn't do well, we were punished for it. And yeah, we deserve the silver. So we'll take what we did get this year, but next year we're going to play in such a way that we deserve the gold and we get the gold. So,
Really looking forward to when that happens.
Yeah.
I was watching most of the games this time, and man, I like futsal is new to me, so I was a bit shocked with the rules, but the way you guys like just never give up, no matter what, just keep going at it. That I really enjoyed watching you guys play.
yeah, especially the Pakistan game.
Oh.
Yeah, that was awesome.
What is sort of an impact that you want to create? What do you want to leave behind for the next generations? How do you want to be remembered?
As someone who kept resilience as her first character trait, no matter what. So, because I think over time, dreaming is fantastic, but when the humbling starts, resilience really carries you. So, to be resilient in what you dream of, I would want to leave that quality as that as somebody who embodied that. And at any point, to be in that space where you can always push yourself, never give up, and have that unrelenting faith in yourself.
Yeah, I think that defines your journey. Like, it's been a curve, and it defines it like pretty aptly. Thank you so much, Mithila,
Thank you.
for giving us your time, taking us through your journey. I have loved talking to you.
I absolutely love this. I think this is one of the best podcasts I've done so far. Awesome.
Roots
Loved
to
it.
Boots.
Loved it.
Blue.
I think you guys had curated it so beautifully, man. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
If this conversation stayed with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening in. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next one.